I've done some videos recently on forgiveness and boundaries and kind of dabbling into healing work and how necessary it is to not avoid that. We got to just lean on into it. There's no shortcuts, unfortunately. I'm sorry. I know, I'm sorry. I hate to break it to you, but there's no shortcut. We just need to go through it. But I wanted to expound upon that a little bit very briefly. So I heard it in the testimonial video that some people that I've worked with that have become like family to me spoke into this testimonial video for my channel, and I'll leave that down below if you want to check that out. They had some cool things to say, but specifically talking about healing work and leaning into the hard stuff and how sometimes it's hard to hear tough things that we need to hear. It's uncomfortable, but we need surgery. And if it's like our heart is broken and our heart is in terrible condition and it's killing us and it's diseased, we need surgery on that, and the doctor's got to crack you open. And but without that surgery, like, surgery is going to hurt. Getting that shrapnel out of there is going to hurt, but without it, you're going to die. And so we need to understand that quite often, and I've experienced this in my own life lately with some very, very deeply personal, very difficult things that, I felt like I got mule kicked. Some of the betrayal was just next level, for sure, from places you would never expect it from. But those are always the hard ones, and they do happen more often than we want to admit. So when that happens, though, and it feels like it's so broken that it could be irreparable, what I've recognized in this particular situation is I've actually been praying about it and asking specifically. I was like, you know what, God, I know this is a dangerous prayer, but whatever it takes, do whatever it takes. This area, these relationships need to be healed. And I knew that it would be, something that probably would be unpleasant, but at the same time, it's what had to happen. And I have this phrase that I've used for a long time, and I will never stop using it because it's my life. But healing quite often feels like breaking. Healing quite often feels like breaking. But when you have something that healed wrong, or is a broken bone back in the day and it never got set properly, and now you're doing the work to address it, you got to re-break that bone to set it properly, and that's going to suck. It's going to be super unpleasant. But after you do that, and after you set it properly, and after it heals properly, you're going to realize you've been walking with a limp this entire time and you didn't need to be. So once it's healed and it's set properly, now you can move from just surviving and operating off of old coping mechanisms that we developed in dysfunction or trauma that no longer serve us when we want to move from surviving into thriving. And we find a new pathway. And new can be uncomfortable, but new can also set us free. So at some point we have to choose. Do we want to embrace it, or do we want to keep running from it and just slap a Band-Aid on it, and ultimately it's going to kill us, and it's going to pass along to our kids, and we never really dealt with the disease that we had the power and the authority to deal with. So I encourage you, forgiveness, boundaries, healing work, all of these sorts of things. It's going to feel like surgery, but healing quite often feels a lot like breaking. Lean into it.